Order, order. We start with questions. Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government. Andrew Pakes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And may I start by sending my thoughts and prayers with everyone involved in yesterday's incident at Southend Airport. And with your permission, Mr Speaker, I'll take questions 1, 8, 11 and 21 together. We remain committed to providing leaseholders with the greater rights, powers and protections over their homes and bringing the feudal leasehold system to an end. Yes. We have made significant progress implementing the Leasehold and Freehold Reform Act of 24 and this month launched a consultation to strengthen leaseholder protections over charges and services. We are delivering, but we'll go further. We'll publish a draft leasehold and common hold bill later this year. And, Mr Speaker, this week the High Court will be hearing challenges to some of the 24 Act enfranchisement reforms, and we will be robustly defending those challenges and will await the Court's judgment.
Andrew Pakes.
I've now been contacted by over 300 residents about leasehold and management service charge issues by First Port in Peterborough. Unfair charges, lack of transparency, bad communication, poor services. Residents in places like Hammonds Drive and Manor Drive are fed up of a second-class service. Can I ask my right honourable friend to outline what she is doing to support residents in places like Peterborough get the peace of mind and the justice they so much deserve?
Well, Mr Speaker, he's absolutely right to raise this issue, and I think many members across the House have suffered this. Too many leaseholders suffer from poor quality services from managing agents, which is why we're consulting on proposals to strengthen regulation of managing agents, which includes mandating minimum professional qualifications.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My constituent Ed, a leaseholder at Monument Court in Stevenage, has been trapped for years in an unsellable flat after the building failed its EWS1 assessment due to Higgins Homes not following their own architectural plans. He has faced uncapped and unregulated service charges and utility billing and the threat of disconnection while seeing the saleable value of his property decrease by over £70,000. So will the Secretary of State consider introducing a statutory route for people like Ed to pursue legal action against a developer without bearing the full cost burden themselves?
Secretary of State.
Well, again, Mr Speaker, I'm really sorry to hear about Ed's situation. The Building Safety Act of 2022 protects qualifying leaseholders from uncapped costs relating to non-cladding remediation. Where remediation is not progressing, leaseholders can apply to the Tribunal for a remediation order which can compel a relevant landlord to fix relevant defects in their buildings, as well as remediation contribution orders to require a developer to pay towards the cost of the remediation.
Sam Carley.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. At Fletton Keys in my constituency, managed by Gateway Properties, leasehold residents are reporting that service charges have increased by as much as 150% in the last 2 years. Faults in flats are under warranty and should be fixed by Western Homes, who built the property, but instead are being fixed by Gateway, who increased the service charge and have even been sending separate bills on top, I understand. I know the government's been keen to address these issues around high service charges and financial transparency for leaseholders, so can the Minister provide an update on that work?
Well, Mr Speaker, unjustified service charges are wholly unacceptable, and I would strongly recommend that the homeowners obtain legal advice on this issue. This may include from the Leasehold Advisory Service, who give free legal advice to leaseholders. Developers are typically responsible for rectifying defects within the first 2 years of the warranty period. Even if they don't make a warranty claim, they are still liable and should not pass charges on to leaseholders. Unreasonable service charges may be challenged at the first tier tribunal.
To swallow.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In the government's landmark Renters' Rights Bill, we're doing so much to address the inequities of the rental sector for constituents in Bracknell and across the country, including extending the right to being able to request a pet. As the government now turns our attention to reforming leasehold, my right honourable friend will know that many leaseholders are also blocked from having a pet because of a clause in their head lease. Will she look at what we can do to address this issue?
Well, I thank my honourable friend for his question. I know my honourable friend has spoken to the Housing Minister about this issue already and will continue these discussions. Pets, Mr Speaker, bring joy, as you well know, and happiness and comfort to their owners, as well as supporting their mental and physical well-being. We strengthen the rights for private tenants to keep pets in the Renters' Rights Bill, and we will, of course, keep the position of leaseholders with pets under review.
Joshua Reynolds.
Speaker, leasehold residents of Marlborough House in Maidenhead found that their developer had entered liquidation, leaving £250,000 worth of outstanding Section 106 payments and massive defects in the development. These leaseholders are concerned that the authorities will be asking them for the S106 monies, and the costs of finishing the developments will fall on their shoulders. So, considering developers having poor track records with dozens of companies going into liquidation, can the Secretary of State confirm to us how we can strengthen leasehold legislation to ensure future leaseholders don't have the same issues that these at Marlborough House have had?
Well, Mr Speaker, it is frustrating when we hear situations like that. That's why our intention is to publish the draft leasehold and common hold reform bill in the second half of this year, and I hope the honourable member will contribute to that to make sure that we can build on what the previous government brought forward. It did need extra work on that, as I mentioned in my opening statement, but hopefully we can start to deal with this issue so leaseholders have the protection that they deserve.
Tom Paul.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. At recent surgery, I had a constituent bring to me the issue of leasehold issues that she's experiencing with a housing association. Despite paying considerable amounts of service charges, leaseholders have now been whacked with a £7,000 bill for improvements to the property's roof, with the expectation to pay within 30 days upon completion. There was limited consultation and leaseholders had no choice in who carried out the works. So what would the Secretary of State advise that my constituent should do?
Well, again, Mr Speaker, I think the consultation exercise that we're undertaking is about how we can deal with these such matters. So I hope the honourable member will work with us during this consultation period so that we can bring forward that draft legislation and get this matter right, because far too often we're hearing these stories time and time again, and we need to end this and fix it and protect those leaseholders.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank the Minister very much for the answers. Minister, the leaseholders system and the legal protection that everyone needs have been exemplified in the debates in Westminster Hall and the debates that there's been in this chamber, and we know that. And I very much welcome the Government and the Minister's commitment to those changes for the future. Leasehold system is slightly different here than it is in Northern Ireland, I understand that, but the legal protections need to be the same. So can I ask the Minister this very simple question? Would the Minister discuss with the relevant Minister in Northern Ireland to ensure that what's going to happen here can happen for us in Northern Ireland and give us the same protection?
Well, I thank my honourable friend for that question. He's absolutely right, Mr Speaker. We do work with the devolved nations, not just about what we can show what we're doing here, but what we can learn from them as well. And we've seen that the housing situation is not an England-only situation that we have across the UK, and we all need to learn from each other. And hopefully the reforms we're bringing through learns from the devolved nations, but also has some learning for them, and we can work lockstep together to protect people wherever they are in the United Kingdom.
Question 2, please, Mr Speaker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In June, we announced over £1 billion of investment to accelerate cladding remediation by giving social landlords the same access to government remediation schemes as that is afforded to private building owners. We will shortly publish revised guidelines on how to access this funding and a joint plan with social landlords and regulators to accelerate remediation and improve resident experience.
Can I thank the Minister and his department for pushing forward Awab's law, which can't come soon enough, especially the 24-hour deadline for dealing with mould and damp, especially for my constituent Yasmin, who's been living in an unacceptable situation for 4 years now with very young children. But could I also say to the Minister that I have some very real concerns about housing associations and how ready they are to implement the regulations that are coming in very soon in October. This is something that I've raised with the National Housing Federation, but I would like to ask the Minister what assessment he's made of housing associations and its sector, that they will be able to fully comply with all the regulations coming in Award's law by October, so that we can ensure that all my constituents can be living in a safe and a healthy environment.
Okay, Minister.
Well, first of all, I say how sorry I am to hear that the honourable member's constituent Yasmin has been living in those conditions for so long. We've published draft guidance for social landlords to make sure they understand the requirements set under Awaab's law, as she would expect, we're working very closely to support their operational readiness. It's why we took the phased approach that we did, but we're encouraging social landlords to act now, raise any concerns with us now, so we can consider how to best support them. And of course, in the meantime, they must meet their existing legal obligations.
Tim Farrell. Mr Speaker, with regard to Awaab's law and the importance of it being enforced, there are homes in my constituency that are damp and are mouldy and are publicly owned, but not by housing associations, but by the Hospitals Trust. Nursing accommodation for nurses and their families. Could he clarify to me and to them the remit of this law and of his power and control in this area? And would he urge all public sector landlords to make sure they comply with Awaab's law so our nurses can bring their families up in places that are safe and clean and decent?
Minister.
Well, I don't think it's any secret that me and the Right Honourable Member, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Housing Minister, are very hard on all our partners, but always the public sector, to make sure they do their job. The Honourable Gentleman raises a very important specific concern. The Housing Minister will right swim on it.
Danny Beales.
Through, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Government's plan for change includes a hugely ambitious target of building 1.5 million new homes in England in this Parliament. In the 12 months we've been in office, we've taken decisive steps to boost housing supply, including overhauling the National Planning Policy Framework and introducing the Planning and Infrastructure Bill, which will further streamline the delivery of new homes as well as critical infrastructure.
Danny Beales.
Mr Speaker, it's welcome to have a government who believes in house building once again. I'd like to thank the Minister for his comments. When I speak to house builders, one of the issues they raise with me is the performance of the Building Safety Regulator. Shovel-ready projects that have planning permission are delayed at Gateway 2. Checks which should take a matter of weeks are taking months, if not years. So I'd like to ask the Minister what the Department are doing to performance manage the regulator to ensure it has the resources it needs, that we hold them to account and we get spades in the ground as soon as possible.
Minister.
My honourable friend is absolutely right, Mr Speaker, to draw attention to the operation of the Building Safety Regulator, which, while essential to upholding building safety standards, is causing delays in handling applications for building projects and impacting on new supply in London. I hope my honourable friend will take comfort not only from the £2 million the government allocated to the BSR in February, but also from the targeted package of reforms we announced last month, including the establishment of a new fast-track process to reduce delays